Good morning, children. We are once again back in the same chapter, coordination compound. If you remember, in the last class we have discussed about Werner's coordination theory. Under that Werner's coordination theory, I had told you the main postulates of this theory. According to this postulate, a metal ion has two types of valencies: primary valency and secondary valency. Apart from it, what did I tell you? That the primary valencies are normally ionizable. These are the valencies that exist outside the coordination sphere, and secondary valencies are not ionizable, that actually exist outside the coordination sphere. Okay. Third point, I also mentioned you that secondary valencies are non ionizable, and as well as the number of ligands that is attached around the central metal atom, they actually determines the spatial arrangement. They actually determines the spatial arrangement of atoms or ions, as a result of which they have a definite shape. Okay, this is how the arrangement takes place. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the primary valencies. In today's class, we are going to discuss about primary valency, or what is called a primary valence. See, the valence is normally ionizable. That is, these are the valencies which are normally ionizable. It is equal to the positive charge on the central metal atom. These valencies are satisfied by negatively charged ions. Example is CrCl3. Now the primary valency is 3. So that which is ionizable, and as a result of which we can easily find out number of ions which are joined together. These are called as primary valencies. Okay, it is equal to the oxidation state of the central atom. So just remember, it is equal to the oxidation state of the central atom. Next we have is secondary valence. What is secondary valence? The valence is non-ionizable. So just remember, secondary valencies are non-ionizable. That is, secondary valence is equal to the number of ligands atoms coordinated to the metal atom. It is equal to number of ligands coordinated to that of the central metal atom. It is also called coordination number of the metal. It is also called the coordination number. So just remember, secondary valencies exist. Secondary valencies, they exist actually. Secondary valencies exist inside the coordination sphere. That is actually equal to number of ligands, which is being coordinated with that of the central metal ion. That is called the secondary valencies. Okay, that is called the secondary valency. So I think, children, you have developed this clear idea what is primary valency and what is secondary valencies. Okay, so primary valence is ionizable, secondary valence is not ionizable. It is actually equal to the coordination number of the central metal ion. What is coordination number? Coordination number is the number of ligands which is attached to the central metal atom or ion. Okay. After that, see, the next topic we are going to discuss is oxidation number of the central metal atom or ion. We are going to discuss the oxidation number. See, we are going to discuss oxidation number of the central metal atom or ion. Now, what is the oxidation number? Oxidation number of the central metal atom or ion is actually a number. So, oxidation number of the central metal ion is in a complex is defined as the charge it would carry if all the ligands are removed, along with the electron pair that are shared with the central atom. So oxidation number of central atom, that is the oxidation number of the central atom in a complex is defined as the charge it would carry if the ligands were been removed with that of its electron pair. Okay, that is called the oxidation number. After that, see, we will discuss about homoelectric complexes and heteroelectric complexes. Those complexes in which the metal ion is coordinated with one kind of donor atom is called homoelectric complexes. So these complexes in which the metal or ion is coordinated with only one kind of donor atom, that is called as homoelectric complexes, right? So homoelectric complexes means that which is bonded with the same type of donor atom, that is called homoelectric complex. For example, cobalt ammonia 6. Ammonia 6 means it is bounded with 6 ammonia, and the central metal atom here is called cobalt, which has 6 ligands, and surprisingly all the ligands are of the same type. That is example of a homoelectric complex. Okay, now what is heteroelectric complex? If in the same structure, what we see that it is bonded with ligands which are not of the same type, then that is called heteroelectric complex. See, example of a heteroelectric complex is that complexes in which we see that the donor atoms are not of the same type. For example, cobalt ammonia 4 Cl2. So it is bounded with 4 of the ammonia and 2 of the Cl2. It is bounded with 4 of the ammonia and 2 of the Cl2, that is called as heteroelectric complex. So heteroelectric complex is a complex in which ligands are not of the same type. Example you could see over here, cobalt NH4Cl2. So that is about the heteroelectric complexes. After that, we would be discussing a very major part of our study, and this major part of our study is the study of or IUPAC nomenclature of these compounds, how we name these compounds. IUPAC nomenclature of this compound that we are going to discuss. So for this, IUPAC naming is based on certain rules. So IUPAC, or the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, has provided us certain rules. Based on these rules, we have to name this complex. There are certain guidelines by which we can name this compound. And what are those guidelines? The guidelines are as follows. First is, naming is based on a set of rules given by IUPAC. I'm telling you repeatedly, naming is based on certain rules that has been given by IUPAC. The first is, name of the compound is written in two parts, that is name of the cation and name of the anion. See, when I name a simple compound like NaCl, how do I name it? We name it as sodium chloride. What is sodium? Sodium is the cationic part and chloride is the anionic part. So sodium is the cationic part and chloride is the anionic part. In this case, I can say these compounds are named. The compounds are named according to two parts. The first of all, name of the cation, then the name of the anion. Name of the cation, after that name of the anion. The cation is named first in both the positive and negatively charged coordinations complexes. See, the cation is named first in both positively and negatively charged coordinations pair. So always rule is that first of all cation followed by anion. Now next one is the dissimilar ligands are named in alphabetical order. So just remember, if you have 3-4 ligands attached to a central metal atom, we will follow the alphabetical order. That is, those ligands which starts with A, that is amine, aquo, they get the preference than the ligands which start with C like chloro, or ligands which start with I like iodo. Okay, so have you understood? If that is the heteroelectric complexes, that is with the central metal ion, number of ligands are attached. and these unequal ligands attach. In this case, what we do, we actually, with this type of ligands, we actually attached, or we follow the alphabetical order. What is called alphabetical order? That is, those ligands starts with A gets the preference. After that, those ligands starts with B, C, in this way. I told you just now the example. Suppose I had amine and aquo, they will obviously get the higher preference because we follow the alphabetical order before the name of the metal atom or ion. Okay, this order we follow. Understood? After that, see, next one we have, for more than one similar ligand, the prefix di, tri, tetra. Suppose I have 3 Cl chlorine ligand, so I will just write it as trichloride. Okay, suppose I have 3 amine, so I will be adding a triamine. So if the di, tri and etc. are already appear in the complex, then bis, tris, tetrakis are used. See, if there is already bi, di or tri in the name of the ligand, in that case what we do, we add it as bis, tris in this way. Now after that, if the complex part is anion, the name of the central metal atom ends with the suffix 8. So here you just remember, if the name of the ligand is anion, it ends with 8. If that is anion, it ends with 8. If that is a cation, it ends with yum. Okay, this is generally the rule. After that, see, names of the anionic ligands end in O. Names of the positive ligand end with yum. So if the ligand is positive, then it is yum. If it is negative, it is 8. Ligand remains as such, but exception are there, as we have noticed. So always nomenclature we follow certain rules, but some exceptions also there. We have to follow those exceptions. Okay. After that, see, name of the complex part is written as one word. So just remember, name of the complex part is written as only one word. So the name of the complex part is written in one word. If the complex ion is cation, then the metal is named same as that of the element. Neutral complex molecule is named similar to that of a complex cation. Okay, these are some of the rules that IUPAC has given as a guideline for naming this compound. IUPAC has given this as a guideline for naming this type of compound. See, after that, children, we have some examples we have over here. See this complex Cr, ammonia 3, H2O3, Cl3. So how will you name? See here, the central metal ion is chromium. So when I name this type of compound, I write it as how many ammonia are there? 3. So it is triamine. See the spelling TRIAMMINE. After that, how many chlorine? How many water is there? So it is triamine trichlorochromium 3 chloride. This is how we name this compound. After that, see the next one, centimeter atom is cobalt. So in this case, actually we have ethene 1,2-diamine. So instead of 3, we write here that is called tris ethene 1,3-diamine cobalt 3 sulfate. Next complex you see AgNH3 whole twice, AgCN whole twice. So here we have diamine silver as the cation, diamine silver 1 and dicyanoargentate 1. So diamine silver one and diamine argentate one. That is how we name this type of compounds. Okay. Now we have few more examples also. Now these examples are, see this one, K4FeCN6. We have K4FeCN6. In K4FeCN6, what we see? We actually have potassium. Here central metal ion is the ferrum. Central metal ion is ferrum. Ferrum is bounded to how many CN? Ferrum is bounded to 6 of the cyanides. So what is the name of the compound? Potassium hexacyanoferrate. Why? Because in this case ferrate ion gets, ferrum gets a negative charge, so it is called potassium hexacyanoferrate. Okay, that is potassium hexacyanoferrate. Now we would be going to discuss the next topic, that is isomerism in coordination compounds. We are going to discuss isomerism in coordination compounds. What are isomers? Isomers are those chemical compounds that have the same chemical formula but they have actually different structure. So isomers are those chemical compounds that have the same chemical formula but different structure. That is called isomerism in coordination compounds. That is called isomerism in coordination compounds. So in this compound, what we see, that it actually shows isomerism. Coordination compound shows a variety of isomers. Okay, and what are those varieties of isomers? The varieties of isomers are of two types. That is, the first one is called structural isomerism and other one is called stereoisomerism. First one is called structural isomerism and second one is called as stereoisomerism. See, under structural isomerism we have linkage, solvate, ionization and coordination isomerism. So under the structural isomerism we have the four types. And what are those four types? These four types are, first of all, linkage isomerism, solvate isomerism, ionization isomerism and coordination isomerism. Now the question is, what is linkage isomerism? This type of isomerism is shown by the coordination compounds having ampidentate ligand. If the coordination compounds has ampidentate ligands, in this case they show linkage isomerism. That is, this isomerism differs by the way they link with the central metal atom or ion. See here, cobalt ammonia 5 NO2Cl, and in the next one cobalt ammonia 5 ONOCl. So both of them contain same chemical formula, but how they link with the central metal ion, that is where the difference lies. In this case it ligates with nitrogen, here it ligates with oxygen. Okay, now so this is example of a linkage isomer. After that we have solvate isomerism, or that is called hydrated isomerism. This is also known as hydrated isomerism because in this case what we see, that see these two example will make it just clear. See this example, cobalt having 4 water molecules, Cl2Cl dot twice, or see this twice water is water of crystallization. But in this case, all of it enters inside and forms cobalt, water 3, Cl3 water. These are example of solvate or hydrated isomerism, as some of the water molecules which in one compound was a ligand, in other compound it acts as water of crystallization. After that we have ionization isomerism. What is ionization isomerism? Isomerism arises due to the exchange of ion, is called as ionization isomerism. In this case, now what we see, we have cobalt bounded with 5 ammonia Br2 and sulfate, and the next one we have cobalt bounded with 5 ammonia. Now see the sulfate, which was the primary ion, now it becomes the secondary ion, and Br, which was secondary ion, it becomes the primary ion. In this way there is exchange of ions, so it is called as ionization isomerism. See, the name itself suggests that type, that is, if it is involving ions it is called ionization isomerism. If it involves solvate water molecules, that is called solvate isomerism. After that we have coordination isomerism. Now what do you mean by coordination isomerism? Coordination isomerism actually means these are the case of isomerism in which we see this type of isomerism arises from the arrangement of the coordination sphere. See here we have these two complexes. We have chromium ammonia 6 and cobalt CN6. Now what is happening? They are exchanging their coordination sphere. These actually exist when both the cation and the anion, they are actually coordinated. Both the cation and anion, when they exist in the coordinated form, in that case we get the coordination isomer. In that case we get this coordination isomerism. Okay, children, that was all for the day. Thank you.